Hi, it's Lorna, and today we're going to be making a polymer slab that looks like a sweater. The things you're going to need is a ball of clay, a rolling pin, something to cut. I just have a plastic knife here, but you can use a clay cutter or an X-Acto blade or a tool that is used only for Sculpey that's from your kitchen. So if you use a knife from your kitchen, make sure that you only use it for polymer clay thereafter, because polymer clay is toxic when ingested. So I have a ball of clay here, and I'm just going to divide it into 1/3 and 2/3. So I'm just going to take a third of it off. But first I'm going to show you how to condition your clay. So conditioning your clay is pretty simple. All you need to do is rub it between your hands to warm it up. Polymer clay comes like this, a lot of times in a piece of plastic, and it's quite hard. So when I squeeze it, you can see that this cold clay is kind of crumbly, it cracks, it's not very pleasant to work with. Some clays are different than others where they are harder or softer. So a Fimo clay tends to be a lot stiffer than a Sculpey clay, and a Sculpey clay is firmer than some clays that I've used, like Arteza is a little bit softer. There's even some softer clays that you can get from Amazon that are just random brands, unnamed brands, and that's just because of the amount of material that they're putting in versus the softener. Everyone has their own recipe. So imagine it like chocolate chip cookies. Everyone has their own preference. Some people like it hard and crunchy, and some people like it soft and chewy. It's really a matter of preference. There's no brand that I would say is better than any other brand. It's just a matter of what you like to work with. Personally, I like to work with the softer clays for some projects and harder clays for other. So if I'm doing a art sculpt of an action figure and I want it to be able to support its own weight, I'm going to use a firm clay like a Super Sculpey that is made for modeling, or I'm going to use a softer clay for just little like craft projects like magnets and things like that. So I've rolled out that 1/3, and you can use a pasta roller, or you're welcome to just roll it out with a rolling pin. The size or shape just depends on what you're making. This is just to demonstrate how to make this knit pattern. So I just did an organic shape that it rolled into. So what you want to do is you just want to take a lump of clay off of your main piece, and you're going to roll it out to get rid of any cracks. Then you're going to start rolling from side to side because you're starting to build a coil. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing for this tutorial, is making a bunch of coils, and then we're going to twist them together. So I'm rolling it out using the underside of my fingers together. They're not bent. And I'm moving my fingers along the coil. So I'm not just doing it in one spot, I'm doing it all the way around. So you see my finger moving all the way the length of the coil. And that's so that I don't have thick or thin pieces throughout my coil, that my coil stays consistent, it's not lumpy or bumpy, and it's not going to fall apart. Sculpey is very, very stretchy, which is great. So I'm going to show you if I put hard pressure in one area. You get a big thick end, skinny middle. So you really have to move your fingers around your coil in order to get the desired result. So I'll show you again. I'm gently pressing, just very gentle, light pressure on this, rolling it. The base that I have down below is just a piece of paper. It's actually a demo that I did last week that I'm reusing the backside of. So any like copy paper works great. Wax paper works great. You could tape it down to your board if you're worried about it moving around. But I just use regular paper and it works great for the base. You don't want to do this directly on your work surface because it could stain. Some Sculpeys, especially like these pink colors and the reds, will stain your work surface. So You don't want to do it on anything like newspaper because, like Silly Putty that we used to play with when we were kids, the polymer clay can lift up some of the ink that is on the paper. And if you don't want your clay to be discolored, then just use a regular piece of paper. So I'm just rolling out some coils here. I'm going to roll out 4 coils, and then I'm just going to fold them in half. If you have shorter coils, you can, well, I'll show you like shorter coils by cutting it. So I'm just going to cut this. You can just press them together to make a longer coil. So no worries there. So you can take either 2 short coils or 1 long coil and fold it in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist my Sculpey. So I'm just going to hold one end and I'm going to go over, under, and twist. It may be easier for you to do this down on the mat. It may be easier for you to do in your fingers, whatever is the best preference for you. So I'm just holding one end and twisting the other. And the direction you go is going to determine the direction of the twist. So for this, you need to make some coils that go twisting from the left and some that twist from the right. So now I can decide how I want to place it on my slab. And you can do it across lengthwise or you can do them vertical, depends on what you're making. So I'm going to show you how to make it so that these look like a chevron. So I have 2 coils here rolled out, and you can see that there is a V shape on the coils that are above. So I'm going to twist one to the left. So I'm twisting this one to the left. And then I'm going to pick up the other one and twist it to the right. The opposite direction that I twisted the previous one. And you're just going to keep twisting and twisting until you get a nice consistent twist. Now if you look at that, it looks like a V. I'm going to show you with this knife so that it looks a little bit cleaner so you can really see what I'm talking about. So what you want to do is you want to place your coils, and if you need to, you can cut them so you get more. I'm actually going to get 8 coils out of this by cutting it with my knife. Just folding it in half. You could make these into some like twist earrings by just making a loop, or making a little knot would be really cute with these. Making some earrings or a pendant because it looks a lot like rope. So I'm just going to place one of my pieces down, and then I want to make sure that it makes a V, right? So I'm going to push them together just gently. And you can see when they join, they make a V. Then if you want, you can place your next coil spaced out and leave a space in between. Like some knit does have a space in between and some is really tight. I'm going to do a tight knit, but you're welcome to space these out so that it has like cables going between it. And what you want to do is you just want to kind of tap these things into place. You don't want to give them one good shove down, like smush them with your finger or press them to the side too hard, because you'll leave fingerprints and you'll leave dents in your piece, and you don't want that. So you can see it's coming along quite nicely. I will show you if one of them is slightly larger than the other, you can still fix this because Sculpey is very, very, very forgiving. So for these last 2, one of them is just slightly larger than the other, and so they don't line up very well. So what I can do is I can twist it just a little bit more and kind of pull it just a little bit, and it will stretch. And that's it as far as making your pattern goes. And now I'm going to show you how to trim it up. So to trim this, you can use a ruler and a clay cutter, or you can use your knife. My plastic knife is not very sharp. It's actually not sharp at all. It's very, very dull. So you'll see me struggling to cut sometimes. That's okay. So I'm just going to cut along this edge here and get rid of the bottom slab. And then I'm going to use this plastic Sculpey tool. It's not a ruler. I just want to be able to see underneath. So I'm just going to cut along this edge. You can use a ruler and make it very exact. You can do a 2x2 square. You can use cookie cutters and make hearts and circles and stars and letters and all sorts of fun things with that. But I am just making a rectangle just to show you what it looks like, all nice and cleaned up. So there it is. There is a slab that is textured like fabric. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see other videos, hit the notification bell so you can see them all. Thanks for watching. Bye!